Welcome to The Read Along,
a mini book club for your ears.
I'm your host, Scott.
I'm your other host, Anita.
And join us on a journey through a good book,
one chapter at a time.
Do you like talking about movies? Do you like talking about mediocre movies? Do you like talking about how you could have fixed mediocre movies? Well, I certainly do, and you can listen to me, Scott C. Bourgeois, along with my co-hosts Greg Beaver and Liam Creswick, as we give our notes, and I have some notes. You can follow it now on your podcatcher of choice or support it by visiting patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes. Need to get the kids more active. And I say this as someone who literally runs a reading podcast. Our weekends tend to be a little on the lazier side, and our kids would be very happy to mostly just lounge around.
Our son would be. If our son could live in his pajamas all the time, every day, forever, I think he would.
Yeah, and I mean, our daughter's picking up that bad habit a little bit, and also has gotten into being around the house in my pajamas or less mode. Sometimes she's running around in her underwear.
Okay, she's very funny. She insists on wearing those full body fleecy onesie pajamas.
Because they're comfortable.
But it only lasts about 15 minutes because the second she does any kind of bodily movement that in any way adjusts her body temperature, she gets hot and must take them off.
Yeah.
So those comfy pajama days are usually underwear days because she is too warm just by running around being a little girl.
The point is, we've made the decision that we need to get them out of the house a little more on the weekend.
Yes.
And get them actually doing some stuff. So this past weekend, I took them sledding.
Yeah, there's a big hill behind our house that's pretty good, I think, for sledding.
Yeah, it's in the dog park. Some of the dogs were a little like, what's going on? As
and
they
the kids
came
were
by.
like, look out, dogs! Whee!
There was some barking as some dogs were saying hi to the kids who were sliding down the hill. But overall, it was a good time. Kids had fun. And I think I've made the decision that at least once every weekend, we're going to make a point to try to get outside and play, assuming the weather's not terrible.
Go for a walk, go sledding, go build a snowman.
Even maybe just get out of the house and go somewhere.
Yeah, that's nice.
It'll be a nice change. Will it impact our reading? No. Nor did it this weekend.
Exactly.
And I think we should maybe get into that. But perhaps we'll start with a brief recap of our previous chapter.
Good plan.
Chapter 1, in which we are introduced to Dani, our protagonist, and her dog, Sunflower, as they go to shake down a skeevy jerk for some money. And then things go a little sideways when a mysterious stranger arrives, demanding some of her time and attention. And that leads us into Chapter 2 of The Frame Up by Gwenda Bond. So Dani finishes her business.
Yeah, which was polite of our mysterious stranger, I guess. He
kind of goes and hangs out near the bar while Dani finishes fleecing this jerk and his cop friend. And they
then bolt.
Yeah, they take off, obviously not wanting anything more to do with this. And the bartender peeks his head back out and is like, "Oh, nobody's getting beat up today. I'm going to come back
nothing smashed. I'm okay."
Yeah, and the mysterious stranger invites her over for a drink. It specifically says, "Buy me a drink."
Yeah, this jerk.
In fairness, she just got paid, so.
Still very presumptuous to just assume someone is going to buy you a drink.
They order some medium shelf whiskey and pour themselves a drink, and then the mysterious stranger uses that opportunity to introduce himself finally, properly, formally, officially.
Yes. This is Archer. He is Dani's mother's ex-partner.
Yeah, he was like the mysterious financier behind, I guess, what was going on with Dani's mom, who we know was a thief from the blurb on the back.
Yeah.
He was the one maybe bankrolling or masterminding things from behind the scenes. We know it was kind of behind the scenes because Dani has never met him in person.
I found that super sus.
Yeah, she's only ever heard of Archer.
Yeah, she knows of Archer, but she had never met him.
Yeah.
So in theory, Dani, this girl who grew up in the life, if you will, has known of this man for a really, really long time and never ever met him?
Until
Does that
today.
not seem weird?
Well, I mean, he might be the kind of guy who wants to keep his hands kind of clean and does everything with the criminal element at arm's length. Or maybe he just appreciates his privacy. I mean, he's clearly an eccentric wizard. And that's
Clearly.
confirmed in this chapter. He does know magic. He pretty much lays that out.
He tries to sidestep it a lot.
Well, that makes sense, though, within the context of the world. We learn a little bit about the magical underworld in this chapter.
yeah,
And
that magic is very, very secret, hush, hush.
yeah,
Don't talk about it.
even amongst the people who are in that society, it's considered gauche to just be like, so what's your magic powers? Generally, that's the kind of thing that you build up some trust and then someone lets you in on what they can do. She actually does kind of point blank ask him if he's going to use magic to do something at one point, specifically because she's trying to insult him. And he just kind of like no-sells it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
he's playing things very cool.
Of course. And never properly confirms it, but
Doesn't deny it. either.
yeah, right? So
Which Dani just takes as a tacit acknowledgement that that's what's going on.
so immediately I don't trust this guy at all.
Yeah, neither does Dani, but Dani's got some good reasons for it. And I mentioned she was deliberately trying to insult him and get a rise out of him before. And that's because we know from, again, the blurb on the back of the book, Dani is partly responsible for what happened with her mom, getting scooped up by the feds and the old crew falling apart.
Yeah. Well, Dani, I don't know if I would call it a whistleblower, but like
A snitch.
a snitch, a
Yeah,
squealer,
a squealer.
right?
But she clearly also ascribes some of that blame to Archer. And that could be her deflecting because, as Gwenda Bond points out in this chapter, Dani's very good at lying to herself as well as other people.
Yes.
But it could also be partly true. It's very possible Dani squealed on her mom because of the nature of the job that she was getting sent on by Archer.
Yeah, maybe. We don't know. There's a lot of gray area, mysterious, questionable cloud
Yeah,
stuff behind
there's-
this. We don't have all the info. We're only
No.
2 chapters in.
Yeah.
We don't have all the info.
There's a lot of mystery left to pick out here. But Archer, again, on his part, plays things very cool this chapter. Like, it's clear he is aware Dani's going to come across antagonistic to him at first. He's being very patient with her clearly needing to blow off some steam at him. But he's also very insistent that he's got a job that she is, number one, going to want, and number two, is perfectly suited to do. And is not going to take no for an answer.
This makes me think that Dani's mom is somehow involved a layer back.
Quite
'Cause
probably.
Archer shows up. If Dani's never met him, he's never met her either, right?
That doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't know who she is.
That's what I mean. He has all of this info on her that she did not offer up to him. He knows about the house.
Mhm.
He knows the house is important to her.
Mhm.
And so offering it up as like a reward.
As the upfront payment, no less.
Yeah, right? That's sus. He knows that Dani wants to find her mom again.
Or wants to reconnect with her mom. I think Dani knows exactly where her mom is.
Maybe. And he promises that he can facilitate that and
Yeah,
make it
and
happen. He
he-
knows exactly which strings of Dani's to pull.
And so your theory then is that Dani's mom is tangled up in that.
Yeah.
That she has fed him some of this information.
Yes, that is my theory. Because a
possible.
mom would know these things.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
Whereas
their former partners doesn't mean they're not still partners.
maybe I don't know that whole situation, right? Weird. Former partner means there was some sort of breakup of some kind.
Yeah.
Good or bad, we don't know.
Well, it also former partner because possibly Dani's mom is in prison.
Yeah, which would make a lot of sense. That was the first thing that stood out to me about Archer. I was like, he sure knows an awful lot about Dani.
Yeah, and it could just be that he's one of those mysteriously well-informed people, especially if he's a wizard. But I buy your theory. It's very possible that Dani's mom is feeding him some
Right?
of this.
Like that seems like the obvious answer to me. I might be wrong. I don't know, but that's what it feels like.
Now, it does bear discussing a little bit what the nature of the job is. Apparently, there is this legendary art collection called the Hackworth Collection. It was accrued over many years by this eccentric billionaire, implied, who basically wanted to hoard all this art for himself. Like,
Yep.
people weren't even allowed in to look at it. He just
Yeah,
wanted
like
to
a
possess
truly
it.
private
Yeah.
collection.
Like a dragon's hoard of art. And it has sat in this impenetrable vault for years, which only this guy Hackworth had access to. And it apparently includes works from like every great master, both modern and classical.
Yeah. Rumors about everything being obtained illegally or not, right? Like some of it questionable.
And explicitly said in the text that it is harder to get into than Fort Knox. Like it has state-of-the-art security. Now, the dude died a little while ago. But because of the nature of the estate and the will, the family couldn't get into the collection for the longest time. But finally, after years of legal wrangling, they've managed to work through all the loopholes and jump over all the hurdles, and they're finally able to access the collection. And it's big news in the art world. This thing's going up for sale. The collection's finally being cracked open. People are going to find out what's in it, and it's all going to get liquidated.
This also seems a little sus to me. That the family has been trying so hard to legally obtain something that belonged to a dead relative so that they can get rid of it as quickly as possible.
So that they can turn it into money. It's very possible they don't want the art. They want the value of the art.
It still seems sus to me.
They have a limited time frame. And the reason why there's only a week before they can make this heist happen is because there's going to be a viewing of the art collection in 2 days. And then a week later, it goes up for sale.
Yeah.
And that's the time limit because Archer wants something from the collection. He doesn't care about the whole collection. He doesn't necessarily want all of it.
He wants a specific piece.
Yes, and he's a little embarrassed to admit it is a portrait of himself.
How did that happen?
Hard to say.
Who painted it? What does it mean?
Whatever it means something to him, and he wants it. And the only way he's going to be able to get it, he makes it very clear, is if it is stolen ahead of time, because he certainly implies there's no easy way that he would be able to bid for and win the painting legitimately.
I have so many questions.
The implication is that there's other interested parties who would want the painting.
Yeah. Why?
You think it's a portrait of Dorian Gray thing?
I don't know. It crossed my mind.
That
it
the painting,
did cross my mind.
The painting has some power over him, and that's why it's very important for. And it
100% crossed my mind.
And it was secure in the Hackworth collection, which is why it was perfectly fine. But now that it's going up for sale, he needs to resecure it.
Yep.
I believe that might be the case.
It might be a Dorian Gray. I don't know. I have so many questions. Also, does this not seem like a little too good to be true?
A little bit.
This guy shows up, offers Dani the biggest job ever.
Yeah, this is apparently a job. It is also, that's a good point, no one has been able to do. Like, professional thieves have been trying to get into this collection for years, including one guy whose literal magic power is can break any lock.
Yeah.
Who got nabbed trying to break into the place and then promptly escaped from prison because he can break any lock.
Yeah, but right? Like, the biggest score ever. It will make you super famous. It will give you incredible cred. I've got this house that you want that means so much to you. I can reconnect you to your mother, which I know is important to you.
And to your old crew.
This feels too good to be true. The book is called The Frame Up. What is he doing?
Well, there's that, but I mean, at the very least, if nothing else, he makes a compelling argument that this portrait means so much to him that he's willing to go out of his way to recruit Dani here by offering her, which something she even admits to herself seems too good to be true.
Right?
Like there has to be some strings attached.
It's blatant how too good it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is actually going on here? I don't trust it at all.
Yeah, there's either some ulterior thing going on or this painting means that much. Yeah. That it's so important that he has to give it to someone he knows he can rely on. Not necessarily trust, rely on. There's two different
things.
Two different things. And, like, offer them the moon for it, essentially. The reason he wants Dani specifically is because, number one, she used to be an art forger.
Yes.
She was actually very good at making fakes of famous artworks and then using her little magic powers to make it undetectable by non-magic eyes.
Basically a near perfect forgery.
She hasn't been in that game for many, many years. She's rusty, but that is what she was good at. And basically, the implication is he wants her to swap the paintings. But more than that, he can also get her hired on as a security consultant because the old security consultant is out. And they need someone, and his magic will allow him to pull just enough strings, whisper in just enough ears to get her hired.
At least that's Dani's theory, is that he has persuasive magic.
Yeah, if nothing else, he can grease the wheels. He might be just wealthy enough to do it.
I think he says something about even without magic, he could still do this.
Yeah.
So, Who is this guy?
He can get her hired on as a security consultant, which would give her access to the building, access to its security, and the opportunity to case the joint and figure out how to make this heist happen.
Yeah.
So we had posited last chapter maybe she was being asked because this was the job the old crew was on. Doesn't seem to be the case.
No.
But it does seem to be like this would go on the Mount Rushmore of art heists. Like this is a big deal. This is the big score. And she's the perfect person to do the job at this moment because, as he puts it, your credentials and your background would make you seem like the ideal candidate. I just need to put the right bug in the right ear. Mm. Despite so much of her pinging red flags about what's going on.
So many red flags.
The prospect of bridging the gulf with her former friends and loved ones, people that she has been alienated from years, her heart aches too much for that. And it was the button that he needed to push. Yeah. It was the lever he needed to pull.
That's what I mean. He knows exactly how to pull her strings, right?
And she agrees to it.
And she does. Oh, nothing like being entrapped into a heist, right?
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Which I hope the book does answer eventually.
Let's wildly speculate.
Somewhere between then and now, obviously some new information has come to light. Because then Dani turned her mom in, got everyone caught, disbanded, whatever happened. And now she wants to reconnect. What happened in between?
Well, it's possible that something new came to light. It's also just possible that time has passed and Dani just regrets what she did.
Maybe.
Maybe she just feels now that she made the wrong call.
That's what I mean. But something new has happened. Something has changed between then and now.
Well, it's also possible she turned her mom in and then the rest of the crew felt betrayed and turned their back on her. And she didn't realize she was going to hurt so many people.
Sure.
And be hurt in turn. That could be the thing that happened.
Absolutely could be the thing. It could be any number of things.
It's
You're
true.
right. It might just be time has passed and she realizes that she regrets what she's done. Or maybe she's learned something new and her mom wasn't actually at fault and Dani did something actually very stupid without knowing it.
Yeah.
Right? It could be a number of things. I'm just curious about what that thing is.
I'm sure more layers of this onion will be peeled away as we continue to read into chapter 3 of our novel.
I thought you were going to say unfurled. I'm like, do you unfurl an onion?
Could be. I don't know. Either way, maybe the book will make us cry like an onion too. Hard to say. Though it seems pretty lighthearted so far.
I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So you'll want to read up on chapter 3 in time for next week. In the meantime, of course, as always, you can give us a little rating and a review.
Oh, yes, please. We appreciate those.
Yeah, that helps us out. You can also get a hold of us via social media.
Oh, yes. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Goodreads, and Blue Skies.
Yeah.
Blue Sky, singular. We are at the Read Along for most of them.
Yeah, you can also send us an email.
Oh, yes, please. You can reach us at thereadalong@gmail.com.
This also seems like a good time. When we start a new book, sometimes we get in some new listeners, so this may be a good moment to mention we don't have a direct Patreon, but I am also on another podcast called I Have Some Notes, and they have a Patreon, and that actually does indirectly help us out.
We are affiliated.
Yeah, so if you go to patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes, you can support us by supporting them. And also, maybe just check out I Have Some Notes. There was an ad at the beginning of this episode as well, but we talk about movies. It's a good time.
2 podcasts for the price of 1.
Indeed. And with that said, as always, we love you very much, and we'll see you next time.
More heisting.
Thank you for joining us on The Read Along with your hosts, Anita and Scott Bourgeois. All Read Along music is by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Cover art is by Aaron Beaver. Be sure to join us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Read Along, and check out our group on Goodreads.com.